Game over. Game over. Lights out. You've just been completely obliterated publicly.
Cool.
With your you've been folded like a chair caught with your pants down.
Hello?
Say something controversial.
I believe in the Ultimate Warrior God, and he manifested himself in the WWE.
Is anyone even here?
Well, that's two people who've spoken.
Oh, okay.
Does that answer your question?
Are you brown?
Do I sound brown?
Are you brown?
Do I sound like it?
A rule. I've talked to you before. You've got a voice changer on.
I'm not using a voice changer. What are you
Oh,
talking
no,
about?
you're just high pitching your voice. Okay.
You sound like a cross between an Indian accent and like this famous actor in America. What's his name? He was famous in the 80s.
That narrows it down.
Don't blow my cover, boys.
Is it Tom Selleck?
No, he was the gay white guy that always wore like a captain's hat. What the hell is his name? Can't remember.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm Cole Strasberg for now, so just play along.
Which voice is more convincing? Is it this one?
Or this one?
The second one, because the first one, you sound like the guy who calls me for the iris.
So this voice. So there's no to this voice?
No, that one, don't use that one.
Oh, so use this one, you mean?
Yeah, because, yeah.
All right. Kind of hard on the throat.
He's going to do what he did yesterday, though. He's just going to mock you for being a teenager and probably mute you.
Such a little bitch. Note that the man is scared and he's running from me. Because, did you notice that he didn't actually have me server muted? That's because I actually challenged him in something outside of this channel. So he could only turn me down because he was scared like a little bitch.
Yo, Darth, are you here?
Nah, if he was
Hello?
here, he would have piped up the geriatric.
Yeah, I'm here.
There's a guy who wants to debate you called Cole above you. He keeps talking. I don't know if you can hear him.
I was listening, but I wasn't paying attention because I was on my phone. Yeah, go ahead. What's up?
You mean to me or him?
Cool.
Either one.
Oh well, it was Cole who was asking to debate you.
All right, go ahead, Cole.
Hello, can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so you seem to think that the only possible God...
Why are you using a voice changer?
This is not a voice changer, this is my voice.
You need to go to the doctor.
I have a throat problem.
Yeah,
That-
sounds like throat cancer.
Possibly.
You sound like the homosexual playwright Harvey Fierstein.
Well, I am Jewish, so that fits.
Holy shit, Darth, I think you nailed it. I was trying to figure out who it sounded like in entertainment.
Well, now that we've poisoned the well and completely destroyed my credibility.
No. Play a clip of Harvey Fierstein. All right, let's see.
Eyebrows, my chest, because I'm the one who has to strap in certain parts of me and blossom out other parts.
Are you sure you're not Harvey Fierstein?
I'm totally positive I'm not Harvey Fierstein.
Fat, in my fat suit. I dance in high heels.
Darth, there was an actor. He was like in his 60s in the 80s. And he was really famous. He was like not super A-list, but he was like he was an older guy with facial hair. Do you know what I'm talking about? Who sounds just like this guy?
Well, if you could give me more information, it would probably help me. I'm just trying to think. Harvey Fierstein was more popular, I think, in the 80s, and he did have a beard.
It might have been Harvey Fierstein.
You know what? I don't recall anyone ever talking like Harvey Fierstein. That's why Cole sounds like him. But anyway, I digress. Go ahead, Cole.
No, that's totally fine. I can take a little banter. So, I was here yesterday, and you seem to be making the argument. Well, let me preface this by saying I actually accept the basic transcendental argument and the precept argument. However, I don't agree when you go the next step to say that the only possible God who could explain for the great making properties is the Christian God. I don't believe that that's a deductive logical case.
Well, the transcendental argument for God, especially Christian theism, is not entirely deductive. It's a mixture of deductive and inductive. So unless you have a God that has the property set that the God of the Bible has, you're not going to be able to ground intelligibility. So since you don't accept the God of Christian theism, what is your God who's a defeater for that?
Why do I need to have a defeater? Why can't I just question the logical necessity that the Christian God must be the only God?
No, because this is a clash of worldviews. Okay, so if you're not going to accept it, it's a de facto denial. So if you don't put up, then you don't have a denial.
No. So I'm going to do this in the vein of the basic premise that you actually like bring atheists to when they say, well, I'm not convinced of God, and you say, could the not God world exist or the God world exist? And I agree with you there that the not God world simply cannot exist. However, so that is a true dichotomy. However, over here,
okay. So which God are you putting on the table to defeat the Christian God?
Yeah. So at that point, I don't think we have a true dichotomy because it is possible to live in the not Christian God world.
No, there is a dichotomy. It's either the Christian God or not the Christian God.
Yes, that is a true dichotomy.
So what are you putting in as not the Christian God?
So my statement is that the not Christian God world is possible from our current epistemological viewpoint.
Okay, here's the problem. When you say it's possible, well, you're making a category error here. Okay, possibility is what derives from the ultimate. Okay, So you can't talk about everything being possible because that's not coherent. What you have to say is the things that are possible derive from what is necessary. So you're making a category error. So if you're going to reject, okay, well, do you understand that the Christian God is defined as the necessary precondition? If you don't accept that, that's a functional denial. Do you understand that?
If you're stating the premise in that manner, yes, I understand it's a denial.
Okay,
but I don't believe.
Well, then is it
Go
an
ahead.
arbitrary? Is it an arbitrary denial?
No, I'm saying your claim that the Christian God is the only possible foundation for an intelligible worldview is arbitrary. I'm saying you're making an arbitrary error.
Oh well, when I say it's arbitrary, I'm simply appealing to God's self-disclosure of Himself. So it wouldn't be arbitrary. The fact that you don't accept the testimony that God has revealed Himself and His characteristics, it doesn't follow from that it's arbitrary. In order for you to demonstrate that it's purely arbitrary, is that you would have to demonstrate a not Christian God worldview defeater. Do you have one?
I rejected that as necessary. I think all you need to do.
It is necessary, or else you can't claim it's arbitrary. Merely not accepting my line of reasoning doesn't quantify or that it's arbitrary. Otherwise, I can just simply say, I don't accept what you say, therefore what you say is arbitrary. Not accepting what somebody says doesn't quantify that it's arbitrary. Okay? Arbitrariness is that you're declaring a proposition without any reason at all. You just pull it out of thin air. Now,
okay,
listen to me. When you do not accept the Christian God, right? You're basically claiming, whether you realize it or not, is that the Christian God is not necessary, right?
I agree with that. Yes, I'm claiming that the Christian God from
now, in order to do so, to say that the Christian God is not necessary, that is the same as saying the Christian God doesn't exist.
How so?
I disagree with that.
Okay, let me explain to you why. Okay,
go ahead.
Suppose we had an atheist who said, "Well, we don't need God." Well, if you don't need God, then it follows from that God doesn't exist, because God is defined as being the necessary precondition. So if you don't need Him, then He doesn't exist. It doesn't matter that they don't explicitly say that God doesn't exist. All you have to do is invoke a proposition that necessarily entails the non-existence of God. Do you understand?
Can I address it? So
do you understand what I just said?
I understand, but I'm not seeing the logical. Because I think we have two disanalogous arguments here. So when you go to the actual God argument, well, there I agree with your line of reasoning when you bring it down to, is the not God world possible? Well, the not God world, I agree, is not possible. Therefore,
you're not getting this. You're not getting this. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
It doesn't matter at this juncture whether we're talking about the God world versus the not God world, because we have a similar situation. We have the Christian worldview versus not the Christian worldview. In either case, we have a dichotomy. I'm only reverting to the God, not God world in order to simplify this for you. So if somebody says that, first of all, God is defined as being necessary, that's definitionally true. Okay. Now we're not defining necessary. We're not defining God into existence. But if somebody says that God's not necessary, then from that position, they're committed that God doesn't exist. Because if God does exist, then God would be necessary. If he's not necessary, then He doesn't exist.
I understand that.
Good. The same will hold true for the Christian God. If you say the Christian God is not necessary, then what follows from that, He doesn't exist.
I disagree, because the Christian God.
Okay, you're not understanding. All we're simply doing is changing the values of the dichotomy. If we have A or not A. If A is categorized and defined as being the necessary precondition of the rest of B, C, D, and E, right? And you say A is not necessary, then A doesn't exist.
Okay, let me.
If A is defined as being the necessary precondition of X, Y, and Z, and you say no, A is not necessary, then that is the equivalent of saying A doesn't exist.
Okay, so let's give let me lay this out because I
Are
understand
we clear on that?
No, I understand what you're trying to say, but I'm going to point out where I disagree.
Listen, you're not getting this. I can tell you're not getting this.
I understand.
If we say that A is categorized as being the necessary precondition of X, Y, and Z, and you say A is not necessary for X, Y, and Z, then what logically follows from that is A does not exist as defined. You might want to posit that A exists as not defined, but A would not exist as defined. Do you understand?
Understand. I understand.
Good. Okay. Now,
so
if I say A is the necessary precondition of X, Y, and Z, and somebody comes along and saying A as defined is not necessary, that is the same thing as saying A doesn't exist.
Sure. Perfect.
Good. Now, all I've simply done is I've changed the value from A simply being to God to the God of Christian theism. It doesn't matter whether you say God or you're more specific in saying the God of Christian theism, because as an entity, either way, they're being defined as the necessary precondition of X, Y, and Z. If you say either one of them are not necessary, that is the equivalent of saying they don't exist.
Perfect. Now I understand where we differ. So I will amend my statement to saying the Christian God, as defined as the necessary precondition for the intelligibility and the universe itself, does not exist. I will make that claim. Yes.
Good. What is the ultimate precondition of everything then?
I'm just making a negative claim.
No, you're not understanding. No, you're not understanding. Not accepting something is not a defeater. In order to defeat A, listen to me carefully. If somebody comes along and they affirm Q, right? Somebody just says, "Well, I don't accept your claim of Q." That's not a defeater for Q. Now, if the person responded and say, "Well, I don't accept your claim of Q because here is not Q," well, then that would be a defeater. So not accepting a claim is not a defeater. Do you understand that?
I do not believe I have defeated your argument yet, but I believe that now we are actually beginning the argument.
Dude, you have problems focusing. Right? Now, listen carefully. Your position is that the Christian God does not exist as the necessary precondition for all facts, including the truth, reason, and the intelligibility and the interpretability of facts. So what then is the precondition that you will need as a defeater and a falsifier that the Christian God is?
I believe a God who the necessary precondition for the entire universe and the intelligibility of the universe therein would be a God having some of the properties of the Christian God, but not all of them.
Oh, okay. So what fundamental properties of the Christian God does your God not have?
Well, my God doesn't I don't have an alternative God. I'm merely saying.
Oh, okay. Then we're done, because now what you're doing is you're resorting to pluralism. Okay, you're committing the fallacy of pluralism, and here's what it is. In generic terms, it's called the worldview body double. All right. So just like Hollywood actors, because they don't want to get hurt, they have a body double or a stunt double do the parts. So what you're doing is you're appealing to another model of reality that is not your own to say, well, this one is how shall I put this? You're offering another worldview that is not your own, that is a potential actual. Okay?
True.
But unfortunately, whatever that worldview would contradict your worldview. So you are invoking something that is false from your perspective.
So?
Yeah. So that's incoherent.
Why is it incoherent? I'm merely entertaining.
Because it's false with respect to your worldview.
I don't. I'm not. It's not actually false.
Yes, it is. Listen, dude, you are uneducated on this issue. Okay, everybody has a worldview. You have one, I have one. All worldviews are composite, right? They are your collection, your interconnected, interrelated beliefs that are unified, usually concretely, sometimes abstractly. Now, every worldview is mutually exclusive to another worldview. Okay, so for example, I could have a worldview and I could have another person who shares my worldview, but we could have a dispute over as to what certain beliefs are within that worldview, but we would both have the basic same worldview, even though some of the sub-beliefs may be in conflict with each other. Okay? But we have essentially the same worldview. Now, all worldviews are mutually exclusive and contradictory to each other. Are we clear on that?
Agreed. Even the person who has roughly the same worldview as yours, but has even one belief which differs.
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. That would not be that would not be a conflict of worldviews, because what that would be a conflict of is certain sub beliefs. Okay. What we're looking at is what is fundamental to a worldview. Okay. So, for example, I have a Christian worldview, and I have some other Christians who are Calvinists. I'm not a Calvinist. Okay. So we have the same worldview, but we have a different understanding of the nature of depravity and of predestination. But we have the same worldview. Or, for example, how shall I say? Disagreeing on certain sub-beliefs does not mean we have a conflict in worldviews. It just means we have a conflict in a couple of beliefs within the shared worldview.
And how do you non-subjectively?
Listen to me. We can take any two people on this planet who have a shared worldview, and in terms of the total collection of their interconnected or interrelated beliefs, no two people share exactly the same beliefs within a shared worldview. They don't exist like that. Therefore, what you are saying is, therefore, every single person has a contradictory worldview to every other person on the planet. That's ridiculous.
I mean, that's
it's absurd what you're. No, it's absurd what you're saying.
That's an adjective. That's not something which actually has any logic.
You're not getting this. It's not sinking into you. Okay. One can have a shared. Listen to me. Suppose I'm a Bible believing Christian, and I'm talking to another Bible believing Christian, and somebody says, "What time is it?" And I say, "It's 3:00." And my friend who is a Bible believing Christian, and we have all the same beliefs, and he says, "No, it's not 3:00. It's 3:10." Okay. The only difference between our worldviews is I think it's 3:00 and he thinks it's 3:10. Do we have contradictory worldviews? Do we have contradictory worldviews?
Yeah, so if we're going to be artistic about it.
No, sir. You're not understanding. Listen, only one worldview can be true. Do you understand that?
Of course. And there is an objective fact of the matter.
And here's the problem. Listen, you're not how old are you?
I'm old enough to have this conversation.
Yeah, well, I want to find out. I'm 60. How old are you?
I'm about roughly half your age.
Okay. Do you know why I ask? It's because you're talking to me with the mindset of a 15-year-old. This is how teenagers reason. You're not reasoning like a 30-year-old man. I am trying to walk you through this. Listen carefully.
I can recount all your
let me explain something to you. You're speaking out of ignorance. I'm trying to educate you. Okay? Now.
Sure, I'm trying to be respectful. Okay. And I've been listening.
Listen to me. My patience is running out with you. Okay? Now.
Well,
listen to me. You have diarrhea of the mouth. I know I talk a lot odd, but at least I have substance behind what I'm saying instead of rhetoric like you. I want you to listen to me okay, fuck off. I've reached my limit with you. You're a moron. What a moron. Harvey Fierstein Jr. What a moron. Yeah, get out of here. What a clown.
What's up, Darth?
He's an idiot. And the guy says he's 30 years old. Wow. I feel sorry for him. I mean, it's just ludicrous that if somebody disagrees on a sub belief, it doesn't mean that we have contradictory worldviews. It just means that certain beliefs, okay, that are not consequential to the overall worldview are at odds with each other. Because if what he is saying is true, then every statement that somebody says to him about anything is categorically false, because every proposition will derive and depend upon the composite worldview, right? And if his worldview is true and everybody else's worldview is false, but they're uttering propositions which derive from a false worldview, okay? Oh, so guess what? You're a 30-year-old man, okay, and you're now doing trolling tactics by changing your name. This is why I asked your age. Guess what? Now you're bad. You know, maybe you're chronologically 30, but you have the mind of a 15-year-old. I didn't lose. It's just that you are just simply recalcitrant. Okay, you're indefatigable in your stubbornness. What a moron.
I wasn't here. What was his argument?
Well, he was saying that the Christian God is not exclusively the necessary precondition of all things, that there could be another God world out there, okay? But where we left off was that saying that everybody, if I have a worldview as a Bible-believing Christian, and I have my neighbor who's a Bible-believing Christian, if we simply disagree, and this is what I interjected, this is what he believes, that if there's even one belief within each respective worldview that conflicts with each other, then we have completely contradictory worldviews. And this is false. Okay? What matters is that the fundamental parameters of the worldview will be at odds with the fundamental parameters of the other worldview. Not just there's a differing of beliefs. So, for example, if I hold to the Christian worldview and I say it's 3 o'clock, and my buddy who holds to the same theology and worldview as I do and says no, it's 3:10, do we have completely mutually contradictory worldviews? Right? I mean, total moronic. Right? So, if what he is saying is true, that if you merely disagree on one insignificant belief in a worldview, and therefore the other person has a completely different worldview, then everything anyone else ever says to him about anything is false, because those propositions are going to derive and depend upon a composite worldview.
Darth cannot prove Trinity in the Bible. Darth cannot prove Trinity in the Bible because
here we go. Wrong chat. Oh, he immediately left the server. How about that?
Did I hear somebody evading?
Yeah, people evade all the time when I talk with them.
Ooh, by all means, if they're evading for purposes of shirking off their banished role, please do report them, and we'll get them in a lot of trouble. That's very naughty.
Jesus.
naughty.
Naughty.
See, a proposition is only true and real from the worldview that it derives from. So if all other worldviews other than his own is false, then he's going to have to rationally conclude that everything anyone thinks or says to him is false. I feel sorry for him. He sounded like Harvey Fierstein, and he has the mind of a 50-year-old, and he says he's a 30-year-old young man. Pretty sad.
Sounds like who?
Harvey Fierstein.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of because I was thinking of the Mrs. Doubtfire movie.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Here you go. Here's Harvey's Fierstein.
Of shaving my arms, my legs, my eyebrows, my chest.
Harvey Fierstein is a homosexual who is a playwright, an actor and a playwright, and he talks like this. I really wish we had people that had more intelligence and basic, human education than these numbnuts who pop up all the time.